Hello everyone and welcome to the most intellectually inferior program on clock design, and I have yet another theory that will make your eyes pop right out. The Nintendo Switch has gone from strength to strength during the last year, and after an admittedly shaky launch and early years, I just can't put the system down. And yes, I think it should be pretty obvious that Fire Emblem Three Houses sunk its dragon talons into me and wouldn't let go for the longest time. There's an abundance of reasons why this masterpiece was my personal pick for Game of 2019. Finally, after years of near bullseyes, they've made a new Fire Emblem game I can safely say I'm very happy with. I tell you what, when I heard the game was set in a school, I feared this meant it would employ every high school anime cliche in the book. But instead of that, we got the most adult and serious FE game for years. Life is full of pleasant surprises sometimes. Perhaps the game's greatest strength is the excellent cast of characters. I don't think there's anyone I truly dislike. Everyone has reasons for their actions and being the way they are. And of all these colourful characters, one of my favourites has to be Seteth, the stern second in command of the Church of Siros. At first glance, he appears to be the strict teacher type, the kind of guy who never lets his students have any fun and frightens them with his mere presence.
I shouldn't have called you scary, even if, you are! How is Seteth so scary? It feels like he can see right through me.
But as you get to know him, you'll learn that he is actually a very nice and caring person underneath it all. Perhaps too overbearing if you ask his sister Flame.
There is a certain somebody who seems determined to get in the way of my friendships with my classmates.
What? That's horrible! Fear not. I will handle this scoundrel for you. Just tell me his name.
It is you, brother.
He'll do anything to protect her and is more than enough of a badass to do so. He's about the only person who can dare stand up to Rhea and remain in her good books. He rides a wyvern into battle and helped me realise just how powerful the Wyvern Lord class is in Three Houses. But, unmarked spoilers for Three Houses from this point forward, you have been warned. But there's definitely more to him than he's willing to share. He may have pulled the wool over the eyes of almost everyone else in Garruk Mark, but he ain't fooling me. He thought he kept the identities of himself and his sister, or should I say his daughter, a secret, and for many years he succeeded. But he never had a master detective and theorist like me on his case before. Yeah, I know exactly what you've been thinking the moment you saw the title. Seteth is in fact one of the four saints of ancient Fodlan, Saint Keyhole, and Flame is his daughter, Saint Cataline. Well duh, anyone could tell you that. Flame isn't exactly what I'd call an expert secret keeper. She's constantly dropping hints of her true identity. It's almost as if she wants you to know. No, that's far too obvious. Yes, they are Keyhole and Cataline, I'm not saying otherwise, but come on. Do you really think Seteth and Flame are the first fake names they've ever used during their long lives? No way. They had to have used other names at some point, they just had to. Okay, enough dancing around the issue. Who is Seteth really, or rather also? Well, hold on, because I'm about to give you the answer. Seteth would scold Flame if he knew how carelessly she talks about their past. But his very appearance contains a number of clues on another famous identity he once had. First, look at that little beard at the bottom of his chinny chin. Looks like it was originally part of a goatee to me, and it's noticeably green along with his hair. Green. Now what other badass young widower with a goatee who would protect his daughter to the bitter end, is genuinely a very serious no-nonsense guy, brings green to mind? Why, there can only be one answer. Chuck Green from the Dead Rising series. Come on, I don't care that they come from two completely different series by two completely different companies. There are simply too many similarities to ignore. Let's just face facts. Seteth is Chuck Green from Dead Rising 2 and Flame is his daughter Katie. Both Seteth and Chuck lost their wives, both are very protective of their daughters, both have goatees, and while their daughters are their top priority, both can still be very caring towards others, as seen with Seteth towards the Garruk Mark students and Chuck towards any survivors he meets and guides back to the safe house. And what about their preferred modes of transport? Seteth rides a wyvern into battle, which is undoubtedly the coolest mount of the Fire Emblem world. Meanwhile, Chuck is a former motocross champion and is an expert on motorbikes, typically seen as the coolest vehicle in our modern world. Coincidence? I think not. It may also answer why Chuck is apparently immune to the zombie virus. Seteth already has his alternate form compartment filled up by his true dragon form. There's simply no room for an inferior mindless zombie form in there. Either that or his dragon blood doesn't provide the correct resources to keep the wasp larvae alive. Flame, meanwhile, is only half human, so her body can still be affected by the virus. Oh, if only she were full dragon, it would have saved Seteth so much grief. If you're still not convinced, well, here's something I've noticed about the names of the two series. Look at how many letters there are in their names and how they're spread out. See, both names contain 2 words, the first having 4 letters and the second having 6. If that ain't proof for you, I don't know what is. Now the next mystery I need to solve is the order of these 2 separate events in Seteth's life. The obvious conclusion is that Three Houses takes place many years before the 2 Dead Rising games with Chuck, since Fire Emblem is set in a medieval fantasy world and Dead Rising takes place in the modern era. Not to mention, when people are set on fire, they tend to be dead afterwards, but I believe this is a red herring to throw people off the scent. I think it's actually the other way around. Think of the Vikings. When they die, they set their dead on fire. I think Three Houses actually takes place many years after Dead Rising 2 and 3. Somewhere along the line, a terrible event, possibly yet another zombie outbreak, occurs that drags the world back into the Dark Ages and forces technology to start all over again. Maybe those who slither in the dark were responsible and could explain why Shambhala looks much more advanced than anything else in the series. Besides, Katie/Flame looks like a little girl in Dead Rising 2 and a teenager in Three Houses. It wouldn't make sense if she digressed in age as time went on. I'm no expert on dragons, Navatarians or any other species that doesn't exist, but I doubt even fictional creatures work that way. This can also provide answers to other questions we didn't realise we asked. If you take Flame to a certain church in Enbar, she'll mention this is where her parents met. This must mean that Enbar is the distant future version of Las Vegas. Pretty awesome, huh? So after all the years on the run, Seteth and Flame meet Raya and began working at the monastery. Chuck never struck me as the religious type, but he doesn't really follow the teachings of the church. He only pretends to do so because he considers Raya a good friend and wants to help her out. But he's prepared to drop it all and go back on the run to protect Flame if need be, which can happen in the Crimson Flower route when Raya is growing loopier by the minute.
I will ensure that you pay for your sins, Professor! In the name of the Nabatans, I swear it!
Hang on a moment. Now that I think about it, Seteth's a keen fisher. But if I remember correctly, there's absolutely no fishing rod weapon or combo weapon in Dead Rising 2. And also, Seteth and Flame always hide their ears because they would probably be pointy and give away their Nabatarian status. Yet Chuck and Katie have normal ears. Okay, look, I'll level with you. I think I just got carried away again and started displaying the flimsiest of evidence as facts. I'm really sorry, guys. I'll make it up to you and try to think of another theory I could discuss. Let's think. Oh, I got it. Have you ever noticed how in Super Mario World, if Yoshi eats a mushroom when Mario's small, Mario somehow grows in size? What if this means they're actually the same person? No, that won't work. I've got it. What if Tails is dead in Sonic 3? No, I did that before. I know. Have you ever wondered how much money Paperboy cost the street in financial damage after a single newspaper delivery? But I can't make an estimate on that because everyone plays the game differently, so no, that won't work. Hey, how about the Lost Vikings when... Oh, forget it!